Hey guys, how's it going? Man, it has been quite a week, eh? How was that flash crash yesterday? Man, I hope you guys are all okay. And looks like the market's recovering today, which is great. But boy, I bet a few people got liquidated and got freaked out by what happened yesterday. That was just full on. And things were going so good too. But I guess that's just the nature of the crypto beast, eh? It's very volatile. But I think for us miners, it's not so bad, right? We just keep mining away, and you just don't cash out until you're happy with the price. So I think we're probably in a better position, most of us, than investors and traders. But you know, that's just my thoughts on it. Anyway, I thought I'd give you guys an update on my little Red Devil miner build, and it's been doing awesome. I love this little rig. These cards, these Radeon XT 6600 XTs rather, are awesome little card. So these guys are doing an average of 33.2 mega hash per second at 54 watts. And they are not getting any hotter than about 35 degrees. So they are just a sweet little card. Really happy with them. I'm not sure if you can see that at the wall, but this whole rig is pulling 342 watts. And man, that's awesome. So I'm just gutted that I didn't buy more of these cards when they were first introduced here in New Zealand, and they had an introductory price special. You could only buy one card per customer, so I just got like everyone in my family to buy me one. And then I just paid them back. Yeah, but I have managed to get one more because I'm going to do a little upgrade on this rig. You might remember this is, if you saw my last video, this is using the little BTC Riserless motherboard. And man, that motherboard is awesome. For the price of it, for the cost, it is just sweet. I was a little bit worried about performance, that it might not be that responsive, and I might have to lower the intensity on the miner and everything, but nah, it is just sweet. I mean, this rig has literally not had any problems since I built it. In fact, I think it's been up the whole time. I haven't had to reboot it or anything. So I've been super happy with it. And yeah, but so what I want to do is I've managed to get one more card. I had to pay full price for it, but it's only one card, so yeah, we'll just have to swallow that. That's the way it goes. But so what I'm going to do is put a riser card right here and have the fifth card here. And also, if you saw my last video, you'd remember I had to remove one fan so that I could get access to the ports. But what I'm going to do, or I'm going to try, see if it'll work, is I've taken the fan and just glued some little magnets on the back, just tiny little magnets. That way I can keep the fan in place, and that'll give me a bit of extra cooling across the motherboard there. Not that it's getting too hot or anything, but it'll just give some extra cooling, help with this card as well, and then obviously just make it look like it's finished. And then I can just pop that off when I need to get access to the ports, because the LAN cable's fine. I can just go around the back. I might use one that's a little bit more flexible than this one. It's just the bigger connections, like if ever I want to put in a USB key, or I want to put in the HDMI, or get to the power button. It's just not quite enough space. So I'm going to do that now, and this will be the first time I've shut this thing down since I built it. Shut it down, get that card on, and yeah, we'll get it hashing. And so then this will be a 5-card rig, which I think is pretty sweet. For this kind of a build, you know, only having the one riser card. And I could be wrong, because I don't know the technicalities behind it, but I actually think using a riserless motherboard without riser cards and cables and all the rest of it is more efficient. Like, I actually think that is why with this type of a board, riserless board, you don't need to have such a high performance CPU even when you're running Windows for it to perform quite well. I just think maybe there's less performance lost in the transition through to USB, because you've obviously got to have all your USB hub, and that has, you know, the USB system hub, and that all puts a little bit of load, I would expect, on the CPU. That's going to require processing and memory. So with these cards going straight into the slots, I think it does give you a really efficient build. And this motherboard, CPU and everything on it, is only pulling not even 30 watts, so it's super efficient even on its own. So yeah, that's why I think you get a really good efficient little rig for quite low cost, and your ongoing costs are less too. You're not going to have any riser cards dying on you, and you're also going to be using less power overall, I believe anyway. If anyone wants to refute that, by all means put something down in the comments. As always, I won't be offended. I'd love to get feedback from you guys. Anything that I could do better, anything you'd do different, and that would be good. In fact, I had an awesome comment from somebody asking about the fans. He said, why did you put the fans on that way? Because you're blowing air this way. And he said that he thought that the air comes out of the front of the cards. So it's a very good point. He was saying, hey, is the throughput of the fans, is that opposing the direction of the travel of the air? And of course that would inhibit cooling. And he's totally right if you're using a blower style card. Okay, so there's two types of GPUs. There's the blower cards, and then there's these types of cards, which are the two fan type configuration. So with these sorts of cards, and then I was trying to explain this in the comments, and I hope it came through clear enough, the air gets sucked in here to the fans, and then it gets expelled top and bottom of the card over the heat sinks, right? And so that's why having the fans here actually does aid cooling, because what you're doing is, as that air comes out of the heat sinks, particularly at the motherboard level, or even when you have your riser cards there, it'll just help push that away. And by all means, these are not required. They're totally optional. You'll find in most cases that your rig will cool itself quite nicely without them, but it just helps that little bit extra. And so yeah, if you have a blower card, you can tell if it's the blower type, because typically it'll just have one fan, normally towards the back, and the whole card will be covered in a shroud. And so those types of cards, the fan spins and it draws air in, and then it blows it out the front. But those cards are not, those types of cards, in my experience, aren't typically used for mining or for gaming. They're normally used for like graphics processing applications and that kind of thing. So I think you're probably unlikely to have that issue in most mining rig configurations. So yeah, so that's why I put the fans on this way. The fans draw air in this way, and you can actually feel the air. There's really great airflow coming out the top of these cards, and as I say, they're not going over 35 degrees, so that's, you know, that's fantastic. Okay, so I'm just going to get that riser put on. I'm going to get the other card fitted. I'll see if this little number 8 wire hack with this fan works and the magnets, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, done. So we've got 5 cards on there now. got all the fans in place. So the riser card just sits there just like it would on any rig. It's actually quite handy. There's access to the motherboard components. You can see where I put the USB to PCIe connector there, and then the other cards are just straight into the motherboard, and actually makes for quite a tidy little rig. So the fan idea worked out pretty good, as long as I'm careful not to take the end of my fingers off. It just comes away like that. So I've got access to the ports if I need them. And those magnets, if you're interested, are just these little tiny, what are they, magnet source, neodymium disc magnets. So they're those rare earth magnets. They're the pretty strong ones, but if you just get those little button ones, they'll do the job. This cabling obviously is not staying like that. I would never normally use SATA connectors for powering the cards. It's a big no-no. Just purely doing that just temporarily while I'm testing. And that is one thing I would change actually, is next time I wouldn't get one of these HX750 power supplies, because it only came with 2 PCIe power cables, and that's just rubbish. I'd get one of the EVGA power supplies. I think they do an 850 and it comes with 6. That's what you want. Two PCIe leads is a waste of time. I ordered some more on AliExpress, and then I'll have enough to do the whole rig properly. So with 5 cards, it is drawing at the wall 419 watts. So we're still well within what we need for the PSU. But actually, it's a good point. You have to make sure you lock down your cards if you're going to use a small PSU like this, so that if ever they lost their configuration, they wouldn't just spin up to 100% and overload the PSU. You wouldn't want that to happen. So make sure you got those settings locked in if you're going to do what I'm doing here. Even better still, just get a bigger PSU. That one really is quite small. Doesn't need to be. 1000 watt probably would be ideal, and then you've just got so much more room to play with, more safety margin. And what else have I got to tell you? I think it's all running pretty sweet. Running very cool, this rig. 34 degrees is what the cards are running at. 34 degrees and 34 mega hash basically per card, just under 33 I think. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's nice and efficient. I'll get those cables replaced and tidied up, and then it'll just be a really nice little rig. And I connect to it and do everything remotely, or just over remote desktop protocol from my office PC. And in my previous video I think I show you how to set all that up, so I don't need to have a screen and keyboard mouse plugged in. Yeah, so hopefully that's been useful, guys. It's good to have this rig all up to speed now with 5 cards. Have a look at my last video if you haven't seen it, and if you're interested in doing a rig like this for yourself. It is actually a really good way of doing a budget build, but still high performance, like just performs really well. And with these cards and with this motherboard combination and just those few tiny little mods that I did to the frame so that we could use it, it does end up with a really good result. I think this is actually my favorite rig now, so I'm really happy with that. If you've got any questions, ask me in the comments down below. If this video was of any use to you, give us a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. And subscribe if you want, because soon is coming up to the 1 month running time for my rigs, and I'm going to do a comparison video, profitability, return on investment, and we'll just see what it'll take to pay these guys off, and that'll give you some ideas if you're thinking of doing one for yourself, how long it'll take for you to get your money back and start making some profits. So it's all good, guys. Thanks heaps, happy mining, and take care. We'll see you on the next one.